to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message, hit the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia. Cogs went out from the mist. I arise on episode 301. You guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. It is a four-man show tonight. Punch is here.
Hey everybody.
Daze is here.
Hey.
Sean Chira Jaden is here.
What's up?
What up? Guys, we are talking about League of Legends on tonight's podcast. I know you all sit around. Yeah. It's not the Hearthstone podcast.
I didn't see that coming.
Some of you may have been looking forward to the Hearth of the Cards, Chira Jaden goes 1-3 in Arena podcast.
No. I won one game out of 3 arena attempts. That's even worse than 1-3.
Are you even using Hearth Arena? You're probably just picking shit.
I'm terrible at that.
Well, maybe you need to go listen to Hearth of the Cards.
3 whole runs and only won 1 game?
Yes. Why do you think I've been saying this?
I've been playing for 3 weeks and I just had a 9-win run.
I hate you.
A girl is better than you at a video
You're
game,
just unlucky,
Sean.
Chira.
I'm all right with
that.
Just blame it on the luck.
Girls don't
She's
play
a badass chick. So
Oh,
it's
right.
okay.
Sorry, girls don't play games. You're right. What am I thinking? I only got yelled at this weekend for yeah, so anyway, we won't go there because that's not a road we want to walk down. Well, you know what? Let's jump right in and talk League of Legends because Wednesday will be patch 5.20. The notes will be coming out. They have already announced that October, was that 15th? 14th. Sorry, 14th. October 14th will be the patch downtime. So, I mean, that patch will be that night. So, you can expect that on our next episode. But for this episode, we are going to do some listener questions because lots and lots of them came in since the last time we asked them for you. In there, maybe we will talk about helping you carry yourself through we've been talking a lot about the final season push stuff, and we have some ideas of I'm not going to call it cheese because it's not really cheese, but advice we wouldn't normally give.
Right. Doing anything and everything to gain your elo.
Right. Just because you only have a few weeks left, we might also... One of these episodes, we will talk about that final push. If you need that last 2 weeks because you're almost gold 5 and you want that championship silver, we'll give you the idea how to do that. And we'll get down and dirty. But before that, we're going to talk listener questions. So, first and foremost, lots of people took the Blitz gender thing personally on the podcast, and people wrote in. We actually had someone write us in and say that Blitz is male, by the way. If you guys remember that from last time, I said Blitz is female. I think it wasn't Zephyrus. Whoever it said, it was a joke.
It was Zillion.
That's it, Zillion.
Yep.
Yeah, so Blitzcrank is actually male.
Stop playing with my head.
Guys,
right?
I don't really think it fucking matters since it's a fictional robot.
Well, you know what I love the most
Shira.
about it is, seriously, we got so much feedback from that last episode, so much interaction from people, from different listeners. It was pretty cool. So even if they were just calling, messaging in to tell us that Adam was
Blitz
wrong,
is a dude. Yeah.
which is personally my favorite type of email. So anytime you want to send those in, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I gave her access to the inbox, and now she reads everything. I can no longer be like, well, Daze is a giant loser.
Right.
And she'll eventually read the set items that I send out. So thank you, based Adam God, for doing that and bestowing upon us. Anyway, yeah, and what was it? His dating service is also called Fleshling's Compatibility Service.
Yeah, the Fleshling Compatibility Service, because everybody's heard of that, right?
Well, apparently it's a tip. You know, when you log in and they have those tips and people don't always read them. That's actually a listener after episode 300 logged into a game, and that was the riot tip that I gave in the loading screen.
What was the FCS?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Excellent.
that's right. FCS.
Well, if you guys didn't already care enough about support and want to hear us talk about it, we had a listener write in and ask us a support question. So
Hooray.
let's jump in and talk about it. Ben, he wrote in and said, I main support, always have and always will. It is just how my game mentally works. I've been playing for about 3 years and have a ranked team who is in gold. We mostly just play for funsies, but our shot caller had some advice that I disagreed with, and I wanted to run it past you guys. So here we go. The discussion is the build path for caster supports, particularly on the importance of locket, how much you prioritize it, and what situations. His situation was he's playing Nami, and he was starting in on his 4th item. Nami is my champion. I already had mobility and spell thief and sightstone. I heal often and like to harass, so my mana was an issue at this point. In the game. So he feels like he needed Chalice to be able to heal more, but his shot caller wanted him to pick up Aegis for the team. The enemy team had a Fed Vagar, Corki, yada yada yada. So really, what is the right build path? When are we building Aegis? Why are we building Aegis? And how should I go about that? And how should I look at that? Is his question. We need to remember to condense these questions down. Remind me to go and do that, because sometimes.
Right. Pretty much the most important thing is you really have to look at the enemy team and your team. So support has probably the most malleable build paths out of any role, and you have to really understand what's going on in order to do it properly. You don't have to pick up spell thieves. You can just go with the initial. You don't have to upgrade it anyway. So that will give you a little bit more gold. Unless you're going and you're actually going to get the Frost Queen claim, you should always leave it at the tier 1 GB10 for the blue item. But as far as it's really hard. I wouldn't ever go. I know you wanted to go into Grail later in the thing. You said you wanted to go in Athene's. If you're building Chalice, you should probably be going into Mikhail's. Mikhail's is still a crazy good item. It offers a lot of utility and things like that. So if somebody like you had a Fed Vigor, then getting Chalice and building it into a Mikhail's actually isn't a terrible idea at all, because you can get somebody out of that Vigor Sun and will actually help them a little bit more than the aura from the locket. But if they have like several, like it sounds like they had a pretty AP heavy team, then going locket actually will have a lot of advantages for you. You have to be very situational in what you're building and don't have a cookie cutter build path for any of the support roles that you play. And if mana is an issue, I buy mana pots throughout the whole game. I'm pretty sure almost every support does. Like, you just don't have the money to have enough items that you'll have the auras, you won't have the mana problems. Like, you're always going to have something you're lacking. So it's a lot easier to buy a couple mana pots and have them and just push that as soon as a fight starts, hit one of them and it'll be rolling throughout the fight, and it'll give you just as much, if not more, regen for that fight than if you had Chalice or Athenes.
And if you're playing in someone like Veigar, Mikhail's, that is the item to go to.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
You have to be quick on the draw by getting somebody out of the stun and hope that they're moving as well. But you say you're healing. This is probably a common thing that people say. I'm doing so much in team fights. I'm healing all the time. But you can only heal as much as your cooldown reduction allows you to heal. And realistically, you're probably going to get 2 heals off in the extended version of that fight. 3 if it's super extended, and you're not blowing. Because what is it? A Nami's probably going to get, a rotation of the spells off, maybe 2 heals if they stay alive.
Yeah, I have to imagine that there was actually some sieging going on for him to run out of mana, as opposed to a single team fight, which would mean you should probably keep better stock of your cooldowns during a siege and not cast on command, otherwise you are going to run out of mana. So that's just a playstyle thing that you need to keep in mind.
A big one on Nami is not throwing your bubble every chance you get either, because the bubble costs a lot of mana. So holding that when you're either sure you can hit it or you catch someone out or something like that. But don't just throw it out, because then you have the lack of the threat of CC and you're losing mana for it too. And the other problem might be that you're not going back often enough, because a lot of supports will be like, I have to be here and I have to ward there and I have to do this. But like at some point you have to back. So that might be part of your problem too.
Yeah, Chalice, I like Chalice. I understand why you want to use it, because Nami is super mana heavy, especially in lane. But the potions one will solve that. I know I find myself, not just on support, but playing top lane and even jungle, I buy a lot of potions. Hell, 80 carry, if I have money to go back with, if I don't buy a ward, I'll buy at least 1 of each potion to walk back in the lane with, if not two, just I can keep the sustain up, so that there's less strain on my support, or there's less strain on whatever healer there is in the game, whatever it may be. I tend to buy it, and it also allows me to sit in lane a lot longer. But when it comes to Aegis specifically, I also take a look at how the game is playing out and what is happening. If we've had a lot of skirmishes, let's say it's a solo queue game for this example, because ranked teams kind of can be differently. Punch could probably talk a little bit more about that because he's been playing it more consistently than the rest of us. But yeah, you've been playing ranked fives more consistently than the rest of us.
Okay.
Solo queue, not so much. Days has actually been playing more solo queue than the rest of us. So
that is correct.
Oh,
yeah. But when it comes to, I'll talk solo queue specifically, and then I'll let Punch talk about ranked if he has anything to put in there, or ranked fives. That I noticed in solo queue, there's a lot of skirmishes, and there's not so much sieging as there is all ins and places where I could use the locket and I could use that extra health. I mean, I'm playing Soraka, so any little buffer I can get to throw more heals out is great. Nami isn't too different, but look what's going on. Are we doing a lot of dragon skirmishes? Are we doing a lot of skirmishes in the jungle? Are we doing a lot of fighting on the tower? Is there less poke? Hey, that's the loot crate item that Chira has. Sorry. But things like that. When can I make these items useful for that I'm picking up? Now, is that chalice going to be as useful as that 2-second shield that I'm dropping down as Aegis? That's something you ask yourself based on how the game is playing out. And that's how that's really when Dave says support builds are malleable, that's because you have to look at how the game is playing, because there's some games where you're just going to rush Zeke straight out because your 80 carry has gone 2-0 in lane and you just want to make him a monster, for example.
And it's a lot of that you need to think ahead of time when you're loading into the game. So if you see a Mundo and a Amumu and a Corki and a Vigor, you have to know, okay, I'm probably going to need a Mikhails for Vigor. I'm probably going to need a Aegis because they have so much AP. You should be focusing on that. And it's just something that you can prepare for ahead of time so that when you go back, you already have something in mind, and you can tab as you're going back and see, okay, so-and-so is fed, so-and-so is not fed. If Vigor's 0-12, then you probably don't need the Mikhails because it doesn't matter if he gets stunned. But if he's one-shotting people, you really need to get that Mikhails. And I don't think that I would ever get Chalice on a support. I mean, not Chalice, Grail. Unless you're crazy far ahead, and even then it's a real cheesy build. You better be going full AP. Just get, Mikhails is so valuable. People way underestimate it, and it's really hard to use. So you got to get it, and you have to get over the fact that you're going to suck at it for a while, because it takes a lot of practice to use it quickly and things like that. And make sure you have a hotkey for it, and it's in the same spot every time.
I like what Twitch chat here said. Bizerna. I can't say
Bizerna.
Bizerna? Is that right?
Yeah, Bizerna.
I'm sorry, Mr. 12.
Got it.
Sorry, B12. I'm going to call you B12. That's your new nickname. But I like what he said. Never build Sunfire support. That's the same thing as Chalice. Because it's the same thing as Chalice. You're building greedy when there's a lot of other items that can do something similar to that Sunfire, or when it comes to the armor, you can build Randuins if you really want to go something tanky. Then you're slowing people if they come on you rather than trying to do damage. Your goal isn't ever to do damage as a support, unless you're unless you're going crazy Zyra carry or Annie carry or something. But
AP supports are different. When you get into Zyra, Vel'Koz, Annie, those are different entirely, because you have to build greedy on them or you don't do anything all game. Except for Annie, I guess you can go CDR and tank on her sometimes depending on the game. But if you're debating between if you're a tanky support, then when you start getting to armor, you have choices of Randuins, you have Frozen Heart, you have a lot of different options in there that you can partake in. And again, it depends on how the game is going. If you're playing a utility support, Randuins isn't really something you want to get. You're almost building too tanky at that point because you're taking away from your team. And if they get on you, there's a good chance that Randuins isn't going to save you.
He also asks what to do about a shot caller, or what to do with your shot caller if you disagree with him. On the topic of items, that's kind of weird. That's never actually popped up for me. We've never had a disagreement with my shot caller about what item to build. So I think that kind of falls into how well your shot caller knows your role and your character. But in general, if you're talking about playstyle decisions or objective focus, you don't want to argue. You just basically go with the shot caller because that's his job, is to call the shots. And then if you have a disagreement, you bring it up later, because arguing during the game solves nothing. You're just wasting time at that point, and you're wasting airwaves for people to give you information.
Go listen to episode number 265, Ranked Fives with Hazel, if you want some insight on that, because Punch just touched on some really good topics that Hazel goes over.
if so, in this case, actually really like the sound of Mikhail's for the Fed Vigar. So so if you really feel that you're right in your build decision, I would say, hey, I'm building this. We can discuss it later. I can't argue. Let's not argue about it now.
Yeah, and I mean, he mentions that he always does what the shot caller tells him to. He's just looking for insight later. So it's something you can talk to your shot caller about later and be like, okay, well, this is why I'm building it. What do you suggest? Like, what are other options? And then you can talk to him about it. And a lot of that depends on, like, you need to establish a relationship with your shot caller that you guys can both speak freely. And he knows that you're going to listen to him, but he also accepts, like, some sort of feedback from you. And that just takes time. Like, that's really a trust issue at that point.
There you go. I think hopefully that gives you some idea there, Ben. Take our advice. Please have your entire team listen to episode 265 with Hazel. You may have forgotten that we did that episode because that was 35 episodes ago, 36 episodes ago now. That was a fairly long time ago. But that'll help you and your entire team to understand how to better deal with conflict. And not that we don't want you writing in, but if you can deal with the conflict yourself without writing in, more power to you, right? We're just giving you the tools to make it so that you guys have a better playing experience. We'll move on. So, Matt, I recently hit gold, so thanks a ton for your advice. You're welcome, Matt.
Congrats on hitting gold, Matt.
Good job.
Enjoy your championship skin.
That's awesome.
I want to ask you guys what you thought of playing dirty in solo queue and playing mind games with your opponents. One example would be camping the enemy player with the longest losing streak in order to tilt them, or typing things like thank you after stealing your dragon, or LO after outplaying or outdueling someone, or nice flash after an enemy fail flashes.
This is the way I play this
mentality.
game. Holy crap.
Scrub
All right.
mentality, yeah.
What was the scrub mentality episode?
I could look that up right now. Scrub mentality Trinity. Oh, shit. I can't type. Trinity Force podcast. Was that what we called it?
I have no idea. It's been a while.
The Trinity Force podcast discusses David Serlin's play to win, which was episode 207.
That's actually a really good episode to go listen to. It does kind of touch on this a little bit. The only thing I would say, like, it's great. I mean, in every other game that you play online, like, BMing is a real strategy. In StarCraft, that's a real thing. Like, and you get good at it. Like, you learn how to push buttons, you learn what to do. In League, it's a little bit harder because people don't BM. They start to rage. Like, and you have to like hold yourself back from those little like LOL or thank you or whatever's to the whole like trash talking. And the problem is with League, you have 4 people on your team, and if you start trash talking them, then you're really like hurting your own chances of winning.
Yeah, that's the taboo
That's
part.
when the stock. Yeah, that's when it starts turning into like the toxicity and things like that. But as far as I'm concerned, like, I played a lot of StarCraft. I was a diamond in there. I'm sure everybody else here probably played StarCraft too. Like, that's a big part, but you were your own team. Like, you were only affecting you.
Well, and wins and losses were on you and nobody else. That was
Right.
the biggest portion.
Right.
I've been bit too many times by talking smack to the enemy team and then losing the game or something. That
Right, it's dangerous.
I stopped.
And
Because you can
They
tilt
will
yourself.
target you.
Well,
You
that's
will
definitely
become their
true.
prime target.
But at the same time, the thing such as in solo queue playing mind games is to camp the guy with the longest losing streak or whatever. There are certain champions, and I've said this time and again, if I'm playing Olaf and I'm jungling in a game and I get a kill on somebody and I know that just from scouting or whatever that guy's not having the greatest day of League, my goal for the rest of that game is to make that dude wish he never queued up. Because if you can remove one person from the game mentally or in any way that they're not helping their team out, if you can get one carry on the enemy team to start raging out and not do like playing to not help his team win, that's a giant advantage to have for your team. And you don't even have to say anything for that to happen. If you want to, you can just be like, kill the guy and just type LOL. Like that's not even considered. Like, I could see how you could consider that toxic.
Just don't type.
But
Just
yeah,
hit,
you don't
No,
have to
they
do
don't.
that.
Control 6.
But that's not something that you can get in trouble for on the tribunal.
exactly.
Like, that's not something that they even Riot Lights even touched on the difference between competitive banter and toxicity and raging. And there's a fine line that you have to like navigate with that. But the general like line of it is if you keep it short and sweet and you don't say anything
just
inappropriate,
plant that small seed of doubt in their minds and
Right.
then make it grow into a giant blossom of rage.
And you don't. They're right. You don't even have to say anything. If someone goes, "Oh, I'm getting camped," like just pitch a tent in their lane. That's it.
Yep.
They're done for the game.
That's my favorite thing to do. I love pitching tents. Go ahead, Punch.
I just wanted to say, so if you do say something like this, as Adam was alluding to earlier, just make sure that you've got the mental fortitude not to let it turn back on you.
Right.
If they start talking back to you and then you feel compelled to start shit talking, then it's a spiral out of control, and that's not what you want to happen.
There is the situation where you go and you make somebody's life miserable and you've been talking shit and then they turn around and kill you and then they start shit talking and that could potentially have a negative impact on you. So you could also play the Adam game and just mute all chat and then type something in all chat.
This all comes back to me. That's not what I wanted. I'm just letting you go as I didn't want this to come back to me as much as you would think it did.
But it has.
The other thing that you can do is if somebody on the enemy team rages about someone on their team, you can do one of two things. You can play the good guy and be like, dude, he's just having a rough day. Can't wait to report you or something. And then that person will get pissed off because he feels justified in raging. Or you can be a real dick and be like, yeah, that really sucks that you got matched with that guy. Like, sorry for bot lane or something like that. And those things will like piss people off too.
I might have to turn all chat on when we're playing, just for
funsies. You should have it on when you're playing with me because I say ridiculous stuff all the time, and it's not even stuff that like I don't say things to just be outright mean or anything like that. I will say goofy stuff in game to just either if we're losing to get my team laughing a little bit and release some of that weird pent up potential rage, and I say potential to piss off somebody who complained about me saying potential. So. Whatever.
Potentially.
Potentially get potentiated, you potential asshole.
You know what I potentially might do in game? Is that I might start saying, I might turn it on when we're playing together, I'll chat, hey, Chira, come gank my lane, right before you come and gank my lane, just so the person's like, he won't come and do it.
All right. I was playing a game, I think it was Saturday, with Crazy Phil from Battle Arena and T-Force RPG. Good guy. He was playing somebody, this was yesterday. He was playing somebody in top lane. I think it was Renekton. He was playing Fiora into a Renekton, and I was playing Elise, and he ended up getting a first blood on Renekton. And I was be like, okay, as soon as he gets back to lane, I'm ganking. As soon as that wave hits the middle of the lane. And immediately killed him again. And just kept killing him anytime he showed up the lane to the point where he didn't know what to do anymore. And by the time he could actually join his team, because he had started building an offensive item right off the bat, he was useless. And if you can crush somebody, it all comes back down to, is it really bad manner to just shit on someone else's day if they're on the other team? No.
You want a really easy way to do it? Every time you kill someone, hit Control 6 or Control 5. Which is it?
That's Control 6. Idea. I said that earlier. You're stealing my shit, Dave.
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear you say anything. Good idea, Diz.
Whatever.
No, but it's really good.
Yeah, no. Do your champion master emote or your whatever emote you bought for like TSM or something. You should do TSM or Cloud9.
Everyone should do TSM.
Or SKT to really piss some people off. I run on my SKT ward. People are like, wow, nice bandwagon SKT ward. I'm like, motherfucker, that was season 3.
But see, it's such a good idea we had to mention it twice. That's
what
I'm going to go with.
Because you had to steal my idea. No.
That's what we're going to go with.
It's also important to do that if you screw up. Just because.
You missed everything, just hit your champion mastery.
Or it works better for champion mastery. Right? Because like, oh, by the way, I'm a pro at this champion. I meant to screw up. That's what
you can play other mind games too. Like I had a game where we had a Yi who's in jungle, and he told us up front, like, I'm never ganking your lane. Like that's not happening. Just to let you know, I'm gonna get my Devour, and that's it. So we blew a flash, and I typed in all chat the person's flash, knowing that we weren't going to be ganked. That person played so safe for the next 5 minutes, like sat under their tower because she thought that
oh my god,
Lee was going to come to our lane.
BM, you are so terrible. You are an awful person. How dare you play this video game that way?
I'm not mean. I got my like little teamwork, whatever icon. Did you get
your
one?
Ribbon. Adam's never even smelled a ribbon. He doesn't even know what those look like. They might as well be unicorns in his life.
You're
They
adorable.
released like a little icon thing and it went kind of like under the radar. It's like two hands clasping or whatever. It's for people who had like positive, who are positive in games.
Oh,
so
I have that.
Everyone should check to see. I don't know how you got one, Shira.
I don't know either.
I should check to
Never
see if I
mind,
have
forget
that.
it. They don't mean anything. It's
I thought it was just if you weren't chat restricted.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I don't know.
Oh my god, I have to log in right now. My League of Legends icon's like "fuck you," and it's in the middle of the screen blocking everybody. Let's talk about what Cody wants to talk about.
Okay,
We'll
Cody.
talk about Cody.
Well, he gave us some background information, so I'm going to read that. I've been starting to main ADC to try to push myself high in rank.
Bad move.
Yeah. I was first picked and called ADC. Someone in the chat said, please let me and insert name duo bot. We are good. What is your suggestion? And as a further question, I looked up his win rate and saw he was at 33% win rate. I'm a positive person and player by nature, and I know that being flexible is a good way to keep people from being toxic, but is it worth giving someone a chance to affect your ranked match? Context. He is in silver.
So first part, if somebody's duoing, I let them have it. Because more often than not, they are good, and they've got communication outside of the game in order to work together and win bot lane. In this scenario, I think somebody on this podcast might tell you to dodge. If they really are that bad.
Yeah, I would probably
You're that
dodge.
scared.
But
If it's like they won 3 and then they lost the next 11, then I would probably dodge. I don't really look up people's win rates or anything when I'm in Champ Select. But
if I could play another role, I'll give the dude his I'll give the dude whatever he wants.
And you have to main more than one role if you're gonna do solo queue.
And here's the other thing: if you aren't going
Where
to
else are you
dodge, if you aren't going to dodge, I would rather give 2 people who have the potential to ruin your game if they are going to be crybabies about something, what they want, and have them succeed or fail on their own, rather than get things rolling the wrong way right off the bat.
Yeah. Because they'll just tilt harder if they don't get the roles.
that's true too. The other thing is from like plat and up, and I've asked a lot of people this because my concern is I pretty much only play support. Like sometimes I'll play top, but so I've talked to a lot of people like plat and above about like how often do you give away duos, how many times, you know, things like that. Once you reach those levels, you will almost always get your role. And anyone who doesn't believe me, go check out my last 80 matches where I haven't played a single thing other than support. Like people will almost always give you your role if you're duo. So there is something to be said. And if that wasn't a good idea, then people in higher elos wouldn't do it because they know how to win. They want to win. If they thought duos were bad, then, you know, they wouldn't do it. If you want to dodge because someone has that bad a win rate, that's fine. But like Chira said, anyone who's played with duos that haven't gotten their thing, it's a really iffy
It's
matter as
not
to whether or
fun.
not they're going to AFK in lane, whether or not they're going to go 3 bot anyway or something like that. And then the other thing is that Riot accounts for a duo being on your team by raising your MMR and either placing you against another duo or a team with higher MMR than you. And they do that to account for the communication between those 2 people. So if you're taking away that communication from those 2 people, then you're pretty much just guaranteeing yourself a more difficult game for even less of a reason.
Easy enough. I think you got your answer. Are we all still there? Did we all die?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm checking to make sure you didn't ask anything else. But
No, my internet's blowing up. Like I literally can't go to any other site, but somehow I'm still streaming.
Uh-oh.
God knows how that's happening.
You're good.
All right. Well, whatever. I'll have to restart my stuff afterwards. All right. Let's talk about this next person who wrote in. I don't have a name for. I apologize. I mainly play ADC and support. Why do we ever get? I want to know. All right. Before I get into these questions, why don't we ever get anybody that's like mid main or top main right in? I don't think we ever
We
get
get
mid mains.
way less mid mains than we get top.
Well, the mid mains
jungle.
don't need help. I mean, they don't belong at the elo they're in. They're just going to carry out of mid lane if they can only get their role and their carry champion.
So what we're saying is Adam's a mid laner in hiding. Right?
I probably technically should be a mid laner just because I'm like because of the way I play the game.
Because you're selfish.
Because I'm very selfish, and I have been playing. And yeah, I've been on heavy tilt. But you want to know how heavy a tilt I've been on? I walk out of lane positive and end the game negative. That's how heavy a tilt I'm on right now, and I'm having fun doing it though. So whatever. And then this morning, when I'm pissed off about Hearthstone, like it's just been bad. It's been bad.
I cannot believe that you had a Hearthstone rage text at 6:50 this morning.
I was sitting there playing. I was drinking my coffee and playing Hearthstone, and I ran into like the worst. Like my RNG today was just, it's been terrible. I can't wait to play League tonight to see how bad my RNG is gonna be. Like when it comes to like lane opponents or my flash. Not, I don't know. Just but today is not a day for me to play video games. Let me just put it that way. All right. All right, to end the rant, to get off the salt box, not the soapbox, the salt box. I mainly play ADC and support. My question is, does it hurt me more to learn to play another role better to be the same level as my main roles during preseason, or focus on improving my main roles? He peaked at Bronze 2 from Bronze 5. Anybody? Does anybody answer it? I'll answer it. Listen, I think if you're in Bronze, you have other things to work on than roles and what you're specifically doing. I mean, if you made it to Bronze 2, obviously, if you were Bronze 5 and made Bronze 2, obviously you learned a lot. But there's something else you're missing, and I think you need to go back to the very core basics of this game. This is anybody out there that is Silver 5 or lower. I'll even go probably Silver 3, because I played a couple games on my Smurfs last weekend at like the low Silver level, and I've just kind of noticed how some people play lane. Whereas a lot of people I see are not responsive to the other person's movements in lane. Maybe that's one thing you can start to work on, is to play it like it's a chess match. If guy moves to point A, what do I move to point B, C, or D? You need to think that in your head and understand what you're going to do immediately as he follows that. And if you can start answering those questions for yourself, you're going to be able to start playing lane better. Now, the primary thing I would start to go work on is your positioning in lane and understanding when you need to trade from any role across the whole board, from support to jungle, whatever it may be. There are times where you need to understand when to trade, and that's something that I can't teach you on a podcast, but I can teach you by showing you either through streaming or through watching guides and videos of understanding how to trade and understanding the last hit. Now, a lot of times what I see a lot of people do, and the thing I can tell you in a podcast, is don't overextend yourself for that trade, because you're going to take more damage in return for the damage you did. I see a lot of people walk past the enemy minion line to try to trade, and you end up taking minion damage when you're trying to do it, for example. But to sum up my point, I think if you are in Silver 5 or lower, you just need to focus on honing your lane presence and your movements and your mouse movements to have a better understanding of how to play this game.
Yeah, I don't think you need to take up another role and get it on the same level as your main roles. I agree. I think you kind of need to focus if you want to climb higher. But it would not hurt during the preseason to just play a few games in some of the other roles to get their viewpoint. I think we've talked about this in the past. For example, if you play top lane and you take teleport, you're going to start looking for teleport ganks. And so the next time you play support, you might think, you know what, if I was top lane right now, this would be a good opportunity to gank. I should put a ward further out in the lane so you can do that. And then ask your top laner, hey, good teleport opportunity, bot lane. Or jungler. You play a few games of jungle, you can get used to some of those jungle timings, so you'll know when it's a good time for your jungler to gank, or when you might be in danger of getting ganked by the enemy jungler. Stuff like that. I wouldn't play too many games in those roles, for the reasons Rudy said, but I don't think it hurts to do so either.
I've talked about it a million times. I'm a big proponent of picking a couple champions and learning the champions inside out and learning the role inside out, because what will happen is you'll get so used to the cooldowns and the damage and the itemization that those things will become second nature. Your skills will become muscle memory. Your mechanics will get much crisper, and then all of a sudden you have all this time to pay attention to what's happening on the map, to pay attention to where wards are, to pay attention to like all those gameplay opportunities that you have. And then once you have a better understanding of the game, and again, like if you're in bronze, and I've been there, there's a lot you don't understand about the game. And it's just, it'll give you the opportunity to learn those things and to understand them. And then you can translate that into other roles. If you get stuck in another role, you understand the basics and the flow and the thing, all of that nature. But I'm a huge believer that if you stick with one role and you master a few champions that are not going to be banned consistently, that's the best way to learn the game and to climb in a constructive and like natural manner, not just playing OPs or things like that, but actually learning the game and climbing that way.
Yeah, Battle Arena is a good way to learn for that. The Patreon review system is another one where you can go to our Patreon T-Force Network. You do some replay reviews. We'll tell you how to move. A lot of the ones I've done and a lot of what I've seen are people who, again, just don't understand movement of a character. And at some point, I think if I haven't had a chance to do a replay review in a couple months, but I think if I was to do somebody consistently, I'd probably ask a point of to give me one from their point of view so I can see their actual mouse movements. We've talked about in the past OSU is a really good way to hone in your mouse movements. OSU. Yeah.
There's also some Counter-Strike tools, just clicking.
Turn off mouse acceleration.
Cursor.
Yeah, please turn off mouse acceleration. Your skill shot landing ability will go through the roof if you're playing with it and you turn it off.
Suck for a week, but
yeah, but then you'll be God. Hopefully.
Yeah. Go play mouse. I think I mean I'm going right back. I'm just sounding like a broken record, but mouse movement is such a big part of this game
and camera movement.
Yes. Okay. Something that I need to bring up is if you've never watched any of, everybody knows who. What's his name? Fuck. Why can't I remember his name? StarCraft God. What's his name? Does daily Day 9.
Day 9.
Thank you. Sorry, I kept wanting to say Days because Days is on the show and I couldn't get the 9 out. But Day 9. A very long time ago when StarCraft 2 came out, even probably StarCraft, he had a tutorial on mouse movement and selecting groups of people and how to force your mouse to do the smallest movements possible, because every second you shave off of your time, even if it's only 2 seconds over the course of a game, it's faster than you're playing with your opponent. And you wouldn't think it works like that in League, but think how many times that you're walking back and forth down in the bottom lane waiting for a CS, because we always tell you to keep moving your mouse, right? You should always be moving your mouse back and forth. Keep your hands fast. Keep your hands moving. You guys ever, I don't know, if you guys ever watch any of those speedrun guys? Like in the middle, if they're in the middle, like they'll show their hand cams, they're waiting through the login screens, they're always moving their hands, they're always keeping their buttons going, they're always pressing something. Right. Same thing goes for League. You should always keep your hands limber and fast and moving. And so the smaller movements you can do in lane where you're moving back and forth, waiting for a CS, the better, because wide sweeping movements can force you to walk out of range. I know I still have it happen from time to time where I'll make too big of a sweeping movement, but it's something that you continually need to focus on and continue to learn that smaller movements means less mistakes can happen.
Well, and that's the same thing with moving your camera a little too far as well, because how many times have you been locked in where you're trying to do too many little things with the mouse, you move your camera a little bit too far, you're just there on the edge and you're like, crap, if I hit spacebar I can't see what I want to see, but I'm barely able to see anything as it is.
That's why Callista's so hard to play.
It works a lot like directional input in Super Smash Brothers when you DI. Because what happens is if you're moving, if you keep your cursor right near your champion and you move in either direction, when someone sets a skill shot, like shoots it at you, your champion is already in motion. So it's a lot easier to direct your champion where you want to be rather than clicking off to like the side of your map or some of that. And I don't know if anyone else has ever like accidentally clicked on your mini map when you're trying to run away or something and you end up walking back into the person.
Yep.
If you keep your mouse near your champion, that won't happen nearly as much.
Yeah, I find myself when I'm playing in team fights, I hold down spacebar a lot. Like instead of pressing Y, I hold down spacebar for a good portion of the fight, and I let it go to try to figure out what I'm doing. But I'm always trying to keep an idea of where my character is, dependent on the camera.
Yeah, I can't do that.
You don't hold down spacebar?
I never hold down spacebar.
I have my spacebar rebound to my 7 key, and I use that for my McHale's and stuff.
Yeah, I hold down spacebar a lot I use it to recenter myself if I lose myself in the middle of a fight. But you can go. I think I honestly I play the game a little odd because you can go watch me play. I've said it before. I use Shift Q to do my normal casts. I use spacebar to recenter myself, and there's a lot of times where I'm like completely off the screen and I'm still in the team fighting and I can't see my character because I know where he's at in relation to
things.
Yeah.
Another really good tip is to stop watching your champion. You want to spend most of your time watching the minimap, the enemy champion, and your minions. Like, you should only pay attention to where your champion is, like 10% of the time. Don't stare at your champion. You know what she looks like, and I know you got a really cool skin for him, but pay attention to everything else, and your awareness of what's going on in your trading will actually be significantly better because you'll learn to judge where you are in relation to them, and you can still dodge shots just as well, but you'll be able to hit your skill shots better and have more of a reaction time to anyone ganking you or things like that.
Don't you hate it when you're in the middle of a team fight and you make a play, and like right when you make that play, you realize that you could, that not even half a second sooner, you could have made a different play and had the fight go differently.
Yep.
I've had that happen to me 2 or 3 times this last week. I think it was mostly with Tristana with her W, because I for whatever reason I get stuck ADC when I play with fans, and it's like I W'd here, but if I would have W'd to this corner rather than that one, I would have survived the fight, and I would have done this, and I should have seen that coming. And then I start running through it, and I'm like, all right, I'll remember next time that I don't. I try to remember I shouldn't jump over this wall, but it's so tempting to start the fight.
Yeah, Tristana W is a good one because it's not instantaneous either. So you have the whole animation to think about what a bad play this is. Like, man, why did I do this? I'm going to die as soon as I land. Oh, well.
Or like the one where I remember what I did. I was fighting somebody one-on-one, and if I would have auto-attacked one more time, I would have won. But instead I wanted to make her E detonate, so I jumped, and I died midair because I jumped.
You wanted the style points.
I wanted the style points, so I could jump on him and jump back like I was Mario.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's okay, because it sounds like Punch has a lot of experience with this as well.
Oh, yeah. It's a learning experience when you learn Tristana. You're going to have failed jumps. Lots and lots of failed jumps.
Like when you try to jump before a thresh flays
I was going to say, or you'll get knocked out of the air once or twice and be very sad.
Fun fact, you can actually disjoint Blitz Hook and Thresh Hook, just like Ezreal can, if you W as soon as it hits you. It's just that if you're already mid-air,
it ruins your day.
Oh, okay. Today I learned.
It's a lot harder to do than Ezreal.
The thing I've been trying to work on now is reactive flashing, and it's something that I'm getting better at. Where I notice, let's say Jinx Rocket, for example. You ever think you sidestepped a Jinx Rocket or something, but you didn't? You still got hit by it, but you had flash up, and then afterwards you're like, I could have flashed it. I'm getting better about flashing to the last second and trying to predict when it's coming. But that's like the most fun mini game that I've had recently, is trying to predict when that skill shot is going to hit me so that I can get out of the way of it. And then I still yell, how did it hit me?
Well, that's the important part. I mean, it's never actually hits you. You just got to flash to be safe. Because sometimes the game screws up and it hits you anyways, and then you got to write an angry email to Riot.
Or you have like one of your teammates chasing you and it hits them and blows you up.
Oh, right. Yeah. What was it? Oh, again, Tristana, Jinx Zap. We were in team fights, and somehow Jinx threaded the needle every fucking team fight and smacked me with the Zap, because my team would like part like the Red Sea as soon as that Zap came out, and I'd be like, hey, guys.
So I guess that means 4 other people noticed it before you.
I'm in the back!
I always do that. I get irritated with it, too. I'm like, I didn't dodge because I thought you were eating that spear. Like...
Yeah.
You get used to hiding behind people back there.
You do.
And then when they move and you don't.
They become like a minion. Okay, something's in front of me. I'm okay.
Right.
Oh no, there's a spear to my face.
Are we salty complaining now? Because you know what else bothers me is that I play frontline so often that I know when I should be standing up there and engaging, and I play Tristana, and I'm like trying to get behind everybody, but everyone's following me, and I'm like, no, just stand in the front line.
I was gonna say that's the real reason why you can't ever play mid.
It's because I want to engage everything.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah, I like to front too much, as like be up there just boasting, banging my chest. Play Wukong. I need a monkey. I need a better monkey king. I need like a gorilla, so that I can like hit his taunt and he stands up on and he goes.
Transport Donkey Kong into League.
God, that would be so amazing. He throws barrels, and it's pretty much Gnar. Honestly, it's like Mega Gnar.
I could see that.
Which, by the way, the girlfriend purchased me the little Gnar plushie that you get from Riot, the Riot Games merch store, and that thing is fucking adorable. It's like huge.
I saw the picture of it.
It's huge. It's as big as my like MacBook, like just wide from lengthwise. It's fucking adorable. I just wanted to throw that out there because we're talking
why
about
didn't you get Draven?
What, the little Draven Poro?
Yeah,
because I don't like Poros. I think they're ugly and stupid and awful and terrible.
I think you just alienated like 80% of our viewers.
Probably.
The Draven mustache just makes it infinitely better.
Of course, infinitely. Do we have anything else?
Then you got to get one with
ahead.
the Braum mustache too, and put them next to each other.
I don't like Poros. Sorry. All right, do we have anything else to talk about tonight? Do we have any little things we want to go about? I know we're probably running a little fast this evening, but I think we kind of covered everything we wanted to before the patch hits, and we had to go through all that. All right. Well, guys, I want you guys to go please check out trinityforcenetwork.com. Version 1 of the new site is launched. We are working on fixes. We've had some feedback based on that, not only from listeners, but also from internal staff, and there are bug fixes coming out for that site. Please go check out trinityforcenetwork.com. Check out the new site. We're going to tell you guys to always go there from now on. And that's what's going to be linked to us on Twitter. Guys, you can follow us on Twitter at T-Force Network. Also on Facebook at T-Force Podcast. We've been giving out a lot of skins and merch codes and all this other good stuff recently. Thanks to your support. If you'd like to support us, you can either go to trinityforcepodcast.com/donate. That's also trinityforcenetwork.com/donate. Everything works together. Or you can go to patreon.com/T-Force Network. Now, I did say that if you would like to get access to the last, we have 12 Champion Select podcasts out, is that right? Or is it 10?
10. We just did the 10th. We're doing 11th next week.
Okay, so if you would like to get access to the last 10 Champion Select podcasts, but you did not get your money in for October, you can send me an email, and I will give you a link to send us the money, and you get access to all that. Now, Days, who are we doing this month?
We did Soraka. Next is... we have to do another mid, and we have to do another jungler.
Did you guys already do Soraka?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's just not.
It's already ready to send out.
Is it really?
Yeah, we're done.
Huh.
I got to check and make sure that Lance first saw it. He can put it together. But yeah, it's ready to go. I just have to make timestamps. And from now on, we're going to send you guys timestamps of what's going on in the episodes and visuals so that you don't have to write down the runes and masters and stuff. We'll actually have like screenshots for you of them.
Send those to me 2 days because I'm meaning to talk to you about that. We're going to be doing that through MailChimp, by the way. So if you guys, for whatever weird reason, something's going on, I don't know. I don't think it works that way with email. I'm an IT guy. I should know better. But we're going to be sending like a cool little like letter out for everybody who signed up. And it's going to have, the champion. It's going to have a little bit about the person who talked about it. It's going to have the runes and masteries on it and links to all that and make it easy for, make it pretty so it doesn't look like the Patreon message you guys normally get. And then you said, so Soraka, and what was the other one that's coming out at the end of this month?
We have to do a mid and a jungle.
Okay, cool.
Those are the next 2. So, yeah. And guys, don't forget, you have like exactly a month before season ends. November 11th, the season ends, so you have grinding to do.
Get out there. Make it to Gold 5.
Yeah, get on it.
Just do it.
Nike.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
By the way, reminds me, I need to contact Red Bull after that whole thing. I need to get... Anyway, sorry.
I don't think I should have any Red Bulls.
Just think out loud, Adam. That's great.
Everybody loves it when I do that. I usually do that in the episodes. So that's episode number 301 of the Trinity Force podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode because the next one is going to be even more fun with our patch note discussion.
Hooray!
Hooray! All right, guys. We will see you all next week. Peace.
See you guys.
Bye.